Welcome to this Arsenal Bangalore post-match discussion of Wolves versus Arsenal. Such a brilliant win. All over, the performance was brilliant, and we have Jomi, Anjan, Ankur, Elroy, and Vivek here with us to talk through the whole match, understand what happened, and what we are going through right now, what are we feeling. So, Vivek, your current how do you feel about this win?
Oh, I did not see this coming. So I think um, during our pre-game discussion, I said I don't see us losing this, but I think it was Anjan that said that he doesn't see us winning. But to be honest, even if we did win, I didn't think we'd end up winning it as comfortably as we did. I think full marks to the manager here. Most of us weren't satisfied on some level or the other with the starting lineup, but he got it right. He picked exactly the team that he wanted. It seems like for the execution that he wanted. I still don't think Saka's the perfect fit down the right, but hey, I mean that was a wonderful goal. Any top striker in the world would be proud of that hit, right? All in all, a big win for us. A six pointer that we didn't know would turn out to be a six pointer. So let's see.
Would be
I'm
proud of that
sure.
hit, right?
All
It
in
is
all,
only going to give
a
the team
big
a lot more
win for
confidence
us.
to
A
go
six
forward.
pointer that we didn't know
Something
would
that
turn out to
I
be a six
noticed and I
pointer.
want to
So
bring up is
let's see.
there's
I'm
not
proud
a
of that hit,
single
right?
player that we can pick up and tell
All in
that
all,
this
a
person
big
changed the
win
game or
for
this
us.
person did it.
A
I
six pointer that
looked
we
at
didn't
it as a
know.
proper and thorough team effort to actually get us this win. Yes, there were a couple of brilliance here and there, but overall, right, across 90 minutes, I saw the whole team play as a team and work together and get that out. I think the gritty performance is why we are all pumped here right now to talk about this. And Anjan, your thoughts on who you thought stood out today?
Hey guys, so brilliant win, right? I think you spoke for me, Kirti, when you said that we cannot pick a single player who, turned the game or won it for us. I think it was a thorough team performance, right from the goalkeeper till the center forward, including those who came on. Like Vivek mentioned, I had pointed out that I do not see us winning, given how good Bulls were this season, and we've had our fair share of problems. But I also had pointed out that if at all we could win, it would be a great win rather than just nicking it. So I think that has what has happened. Yeah. So to answer your question, I think it was a proper team effort, including the Serbs who came on, and I think the timing and the personnel who were um, subbed were. I think it was. I mean, you couldn't ask for more. I guess those were spot on, and that's what the results also reflect.
Yeah, I think the holding of the first two subs, right? Not the first two subs, the second set of subs, Bellerin and as well as Willock. He delayed it to make sure that we took extra time after the drinks break, and then again waited for another couple of set pieces to clear out. Is that he looked at? Did he do it intentionally to waste time, or was it him trying to see whether the right people are there on the pitch or not? Jomi, you want to take that?
No, I don't know if we need to read too much into it, right? So, um, uh, probably just wanted to hold on for some more time because we are winning, and more time to waste, right? So that's probably it. Um, I don't know if it was the personnel that made a difference today. I think Arteta was spot on with the tactics. So if I may, right, take everybody back to that. I think he had a plan, he had a vision for the game. Yes, the personnel was not something that we would have wanted to start, but I think he did deliver. We got very less chances, and we took our chances, and I think that's important, right, in these kind of games. I mean, if they had taken that lead right early on, things would have been a lot different. We can talk a lot more about it. I don't want to sound very low after a great win. It's a away game. 2-0 against a team that's done very, very well this season. I think we need to appreciate the team and the coach for bringing that change today. So for today, I think Arteta deserves all the applause.
Yeah, the game management, as we spoke at halftime as well, right? The game management of slowing down. Wolves are a team which attacks and which wants the fast-paced movement across their front line as well as movement from the back to the front. I think slowing down, making sure that they don't have the time to hit back and keep up with the pace as well, right? I think that's something that was done brilliantly. Third clean sheet in the Premier League on the row. Vinay, your thoughts on us holding up a clean sheet? Another great performance by the defense.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's great when you get proven wrong, at least when it comes to Arsenal. So I said pre-match that we're going to lose, and I happily take that on my face, saying like we won. Yeah, for all the criticism, I hope Ankur is around, that he can speak up and say, well done, David Luiz, because very close to being man of the match. It's probably a toss up between him, Xhaka, but I know who I'm going to say man of the match. Simply put, it's Mikel Arteta. The second half game management and the substitutions were spot on. Haven't seen this assured a second half from a long time. I know Wolves, especially when Jota came on, and I was like, okay, this is just going to be done, kind of a thing. But the way we handled the substitutions, I think substituting Tierney with Niles, again, one more person who deserves credit today, was Niles. The commentator did check, was this a tactical thing or a fatigue thing? If it was a tactical one, which I presume it is, then again spot on, Mikel, because Traore no longer looked a threat in the second half. So a lot of plus points from a lot of players and defenders, as I told. We should call out Ankur to acknowledge David Luiz, but overall, I think all of us will acknowledge Mikel Arteta for this win.
Elroy, your thoughts on the win? Whom did you think was the best performer out there, according to you, or was it still you'll hold us with regards to the whole team effort?
It was definitely a team effort, but for me, one of the most key points of the entire match was when we are 1-0 down and David Luiz's block of the Jota shot. That was vital. That was really, really vital. And overall, he did have a fantastic game. But yes, it was a very, very good defensive performance from the team. It's been a while since we've seen. I mean, we did win against Southampton, but this was a more threatening team. And it's good to see us taking a victory out this way, especially in the second half. As we've discussed in the previous pod, we came out on the back foot in the second half again, but we managed it, we handled it well, and as everyone has said, the substitutions were on time, and this was a welcome change compared to the first two matches that we've seen under Arteta after the restart.
I think the man marking done by both the sides of the wings, right, was properly planned, properly executed as well. Because as soon as Nathan Lyons came on, he was on top of Adama Torreira, as Vinay mentioned as well. The substitutions helped us to make sure that we were up to their pace as well. But how did the midfield fare up? Ankur, your thoughts?
Yeah, first of all, answering to Vinay, credit should be given when due. Yes, although I have been one of the biggest critics of David Luiz, he did have a very good game. So kudos to David for that. And yeah, talking about the midfield, see, as we have been talking till now, it has been a team effort. So yeah, when it's there's a game where the entire team plays well, so there's nothing much to call out in the specific sector of the team as well. I mean, the midfield was good, the attack was good, the defense was good. One player whom I would like to mention here is
Martinez. I mean, since the time Leno got injured, we had some doubts with Martinez. At least, especially I had some doubt with Martinez. But the games which he has played, he has been quite good. And today also he was in his. I mean, he had a very good performance. So yeah, overall, very good team effort. Extremely happy with an away win after a convincing away win after a long time. So yeah, as I said in the pre-match podcast that this game is crucial because we have a couple of tough games coming up: Leicester, Spurs, and Liverpool. So it will definitely help the team's morale as well. So yeah, I mean it's a good day, good way to have a nice Sunday.
Hey, Kirti, if I may,
Yeah, jump in,
so
Vivek. Yeah.
for midfield, I think I noticed that Ceballos showed um a very strong side of him that we didn't really know was there. I actually thought he had a somewhat better game than Xhaka because I don't know if the stats are out yet, but I would really like to see how many interceptions and tackles he made because he seemed like he was all over the place and he was trying to progress the ball forward as well. So I think Ceballos deserves a call out for this game. At least I was mighty impressed with his work in midfield.
I think I'll counter that by saying Xhaka had a better game. I mean, not taking due credit away from Ceballos, who had a fairly decent game, and I agree the tracking back was there, especially I think the tackles one. But I think if you do not notice Xhaka for a long time during a game, that means he's doing his job very efficiently. I think there was just one second half misplaced pass, and I was in my mind saying, okay, that's the customary one that is going to be expected out of him. Other than that, if you didn't notice him much throughout the game, that means he was very efficient. And I think, again, we can call out quite a number of players in today's win. He is, I think, as a player, probably very close to being judged man of the match. It's going to be between he or Luis.
How good, however good our defense was, right? We still had to be clinical in front of the goal. Uh, Two good chances, and we did score both of them. We did have a couple of other chances at the end of the game, but still, we had to put them in. How good was Lacazette's turn and shoot with regards to what he did in the second half? Anjan, you want to take that?
Yeah, so if you ask the guys, everyone would tell you Lacazette is the better finisher when compared to Auba, and I think he showed that. He was just on for a few minutes, and the kind of hold-up play I don't think anybody else offers in the squad, and the kind of finish also was there to see. He was exceptional. I think it was a long due. He has gone a long time without scoring an away goal, I guess, and I think that sealed the game for us. So it's important that we have both him and Eddie fighting for the spot because I think it will bring out the best in both of them and also contribute to goals, thereby
Yep, yep. So, thoughts. See, this win gives us hope of what we can achieve and what we can do if we end up putting in the effort and kind of work as a team, right? And looking forward, what are your thoughts on the next three tough games that we're going to play? Jomi, next game is going to be not easy for us. It's going to be even more difficult. Leicester, even though they didn't start well after the restart, are won their game today and seem to be like they will be up for a fight at Emirates. So, how do you think we set up for that game?
Yeah, so we are getting into those crucial period of uh, the last few games, right? So end of season. Um, I'm still trying to figure out what we are trying to achieve from this season. Are we looking forward for the next season, as in the kind of players that we want to keep, and trying out the formations, or are we trying to sneak into the top six or top five? maybe get an outside edge for the Champions League position. Maybe not because of how Chelsea and United are playing. If there is a ban on City, that is. Maybe so because I'm not very convinced that we are trying to get into Europa again. Not sure if that's the right thing to do. So it's going to be tough. We got to see how we are going to place our midfield, how the tactics are going to be, because I see a difference in the way how Arteta has lined up, how started all those previous games. So we got to see how he does that. For Leicester should be fine, I guess. We've got Spurs and others coming up, so that's something that needs to be a game, win-win game for us. So, I mean, I'm eagerly waiting. I mean, the only call out is I think with Enkatia starting, I think Oba is just wasted on the left. It's just having somebody in your team just to fill in that position. I mean, I don't blame him, right? I mean, there's limitations to what he can do, but I seriously feel he's wasted on the left, especially in a game like this where we are trying to kill the opponent's style. Because when Laka came on, there was a difference. I don't know if we changed tactics too much, but Laka was on, and they kind of started. And do credit to Willock too, right? I mean, he also started moving around a bit. So credit to him. So yeah, I mean, except for Oba on the left with Enketia starting, I am happy if Laka starts. I'm a little confused with who should be in the midfield. Should Torreiro get some playing time with Zaka? With the teams that we are coming up, I think we should keep our uh, working midfield of Zaka and Ceballos.
But the game is in 3 days, right? So maybe we're playing again Wednesday. So there might be fitness issues that we might be looking at. So maybe there's a change in personnel. Maybe Torreira might start that game.
I think they're still going to keep Zaka and Ceballos. I mean, midfield, I don't know if it's too much for them. Um, uh, uh, Maybe the break should go in for the centre backs. And Kolasinac too, right? So centre backs, I don't know how he's going to play with them because they are doing a lot of the running, right? They're doing a lot of the passing. I mean, at least from today's game. I mean, that shouldn't be the case for the upcoming games because the tactics can change. Um, but yeah, I mean, Zaka and Ceballos, I think they shouldn't have a problem starting again in 3 days' time.
Any other thoughts, guys? Anything else that you guys want to talk about?
That was
I,
fucking amazing. Yeah, that's all was good.
I
Like,
think I had a couple of points about players and in terms of the Leicester game, but more importantly, I think again, shout outs were due. I think due shout out to Mustafi, who apart from wandering around for a walk once in the second half was absolutely terrific. Dealt with the long throw-ins quite well. I think he was the first man in defense for that. So I think shout out to him. In terms of the rotation for the Leicester game, as you rightly said, in 3 days, sorry, and then knowing that it's Spurs next weekend, I really don't know. We've got 5 games left for the season to end. Realistically, you're playing for 15 points, of which you really don't know what's going to help you get into Europa League. I think right now we are in the Europa League spots. So I think that's still a good thing, and I don't think so. That's a wrong thing to happen because Champions League fifth place, if at all that's what we are aiming for, we would need to beat at least we have to win 3 out of the next 5, and then hope for a lot of results to fall in place. I like Torreira even in the 10 minutes that he came on today. The energy, I think that is the balance. Xhaka and Torreira, and knowing that there is a certain player who is not going to play for us again. Seba is going up a little bit more in the front, probably the number 10, at least the home game against Leicester. That could be the change. I don't see him starting Lacazette again, simply because Nketiah gives him the running, which Lacazette may not. And that's about it. And if Pepe's baby boy or baby girl brings in a little bit of luck and charm, maybe we could also do the same. Beat Leicester at home. We should realistically be in with a better shout of beating Leicester at home than we did today. So yeah, a sense of optimism must be there going into the Wednesday game.
Wins breeds confidence, right?
Vivek, are you ruling out?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Vivek, are you ruling out Guendouzi resurrection for the North London derby? Because the last time he had a really good game. I mean, in the home game, he really had a
Things can
brilliant
be,
game.
yeah.
So maybe we could see a turning point there. That's just being optimistic. But yeah.
I think one of the
Gundozi
things
can
that
turn around actually.
Uh,
yeah, one of the things that I think Vinay also mentioned, and something that I also talked about was like at the beginning of the game or before the game, it was like oh, it's Wolves, and then we spoke about how we should take, like, come on, it's just Wolves. So I think that was the kind of game that we demonstrated today. I think one of the key threats was them attacking on the counter, and I think the Adama Traore factor was dealt very well. I think we hunted the wolves in fact, if you can call that, because I think it was Kolasinac and Tierney who sort of wore him down at the start, and then I think the pace of Ainsley Maitland-Nice sort of he was a clear winner out there. Excellent game by Luis after he got the yellow. I mean, in the first half, because the commentators were talking about how the defenders would, plan against defending against someone like a Traore, because they know they would lose out on the race, right? Because he's absolutely pacey. So I think that was one of the key factors that helped Niles in winning the one-on-one matchup against Traore. And I think we neutralized the threat everywhere else by sticking very close to the Wolves players in the midfield. And yeah, I think Torreira, when Torreira came onto the field, he kind of showed up and cleared all those, just played his role to the perfection. And going into the next game, I think we will be rotating, and I think the players who have also come on have shown like they can do well. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind players being rotated and the ones who were brought on starting next game.
so Kirti, just wanted to call this out, right? Did anybody see that change in Arteta trying to push the balls a little to the right than the left? I mean, we kind of see a lot more attack from the left, but was he trying to do a lot more attack from the right? Not that it happened, but a lot more attacks from the right with Saka on the right.
I think it's just flow of the game, right? Looking at what can be done can be done. I don't think it's a cautious effort to do it, but I think if we are noticing it, obviously these guys would be spending hours together analyzing the videos of each and every game and figuring out whether that's happening to them as well, right? But I think until we have a solid wing back, whether it's Bellerin or Cedric, they have to decide on who's there, and someone is going to consistently keep playing on the right wing. Hopefully Pepe. Until we have that settled down, we're still going to see our attack be more left centric. But I hopefully want to see the right side of it also being as good as our left attack. And that way it brings in that unpredictability of not knowing from where the ball is going to come in and who's going to attack the ball.
I think if
Any closing thoughts, guys? Before that, I would like to shout out to Harihara Sudan for getting the prediction out right. Congrats on that.
I was almost correct, by the way.
so, I had a couple of
Uh,
questions. Sorry, Elroy. I mean, if you can take this
yeah, no
question.
problem. Go ahead.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. Just some questions from the comments on the YouTube live. I mean,
Oh, okay.
you can give your point and then also probably take this. Not something that we want to do it for a post match, but do you see Ozil ever starting um, a game again in an Arsenal shirt? And how was Torreira once he came on?
I think Ozil will play. He will feature in one of the games at least, but definitely not against Leicester and not against Tottenham. Could he will? I think Arteta will kind of play him when it's a safe time to play him that way. Like as I was discussing today, Emery had that thing wherein he brought Ozil back into the squad when the results were not going his way, and he was forced to get Ozil in. Arteta doesn't have that situation right now because things are going well for him right now. I mean, we are getting the result, and we are not at such a point where everyone is crying out to play Ozil because of the lack of creativity. But I feel that he will play him maybe towards the end of the season, but definitely not in the next two matches. That's just a personal feeling from myself.
just to, I think Ozil will make the bench for the Leicester game, since I am pretty sure we'll be rotating for the. I mean, we'll have rotations for the Leicester game, because I think in between we'll have the FA Cup semi-final also. So my personal feeling is Ozil makes the Leicester bench, and probably he may come for a 10-15 minutes, and he starts this first game. That's my
Just,
feel.
just to start out, what I'm reading up is this is our first away win against a team that is above us in the table since Leicester we beat in 2015. So that's like close to 5 years since we beat a team above us at their home. So that's what we can expect, and I think Arteta moving us in that direction is what I feel, at least making us difficult to beat, and having that grit to make sure that we don't slip up when not needed.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think that's a step in the right direction. Definitely a great way to mm, go into the direction of winning against teams above us, teams in the top six, and whatnot. So yeah, great start.
Man of the match time, guys. So Vivek, your man of the match.
I think um I'd go with Luis, like Vinay said. I thought personally, I thought once he got the yellow card, we might possibly be looking at a third red card of the season for Luis, but I think he handled himself very well right through the game. It didn't even look like he made one rash challenge after the yellow. So yeah, I think he pretty much led the team from the back today. So that was Luis for me.
Nay, yours.
Mikel Arteta.
Good one. But you have to give me a player. I'm not going to let you go off on the manager's brilliant effort on the team today.
Then you're going to get two names, Luis and Xhaka.
Anjan, your man of the match.
I think it's really a tough one for me. I can't point out a single player um, who stole the show, if I can say that. So it's kind of tough for me, but I think being the guy who is underrated, I'll go with Martinez. Not that he had anything to do, but just an appreciation there.
No, but he did get the balls that were up in the air pretty decently. A couple of
Yeah,
balls which I didn't expect him to capture and hold on to. He just took
definitely.
that in. That was something that surprised me as well.
Yeah, I think he was very strong and confident in the air, held and marked his territory well. So yeah, I think I'll have him get the man of the match from my end.
Elroy, your man of the match.
The same, David Luiz itself. But shout outs to a lot of other players, maybe because they have not played the full match. But Niles, for instance, was one player who showed a lot of energy when he came on. Then Xhaka was good. And another player would be Martinez, of course, because he didn't have saves as such today, but he's dealing off the balls in the air. The way he handles the crosses and all has been really, really good. And so special shout out to him too.
Jomi, your man of the match.
Oh, it's a tough one, right? So, Shaka, um, I think the boy deserves a lot of praise, and David Lewis is the other name. Ceballos and Shaka in the midfield. They were good, but they were not extraordinary. I mean, I don't know if they had to do a lot of stuff. I might be wrong. That's my view, but yeah, David Lewis or the young kid that started our score.
Ankur, your man of the match.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to choose, but I think even I'll go with the majority. I think David Luiz had a very good game. Probably his best game for us. So yeah, and especially after the yellow card, how he picked up. So yes, I think David Luiz makes the mark for this game. But having said that, there were quite many call-outs. Martinez, Xhaka, Ceballos. So yeah, good team performance. But yes, if you have to pick one player as the man of the match, so it will be David Luiz for me as well.
Something Vinay mentioned was on spot, right? A couple of when the defense as well as a defensive midfielder is not brought out way too many times in the game, that shows that your team is performing well. That shows that there's no misplaced pass, there's no tackles that are flying in which you're not supposed to be doing. Given that our defense has been brilliant, I think overall the whole defensive centre backs would have gotten it. And I know I didn't see much from David Lewis, but that is good from his perspective. But I would give it to Mustafi, mainly just because of him being consistent across for the second half of the whole season. But for this game also, I thought the people who were closer to where the wingers had more work compared to what Luis was doing in the middle. So I would give out my man of the match to Mustafi. Just a random thought that came to my head. Yeah. And any arguments against my thoughts on Mustafi getting the man of the match? I know he might not get it, but still.
No, Kirti, I think it's just I mean today I mean I think everybody's happy, right? So things everything went according to the plan. Mustafi, for all the abuse and hatred he gets, right? I think a lot has to do with how the results are. People forget that irrespective of the defensive cover that we had, we were losing a lot of games. So it was not just a Mustafi problem, it was more for the personnel and the setup that we had. I mean, his long passes, he still continues to do that, and it does work in some games, it doesn't work in other games. I mean, he did try a lot today too. So, I mean, yes, it is critical, except for those short passes from the keeper to the center backs. That's the only time I get scared. Otherwise, they look a lot better. And I feel a lot of the bigger teams should stop doing it. It just scares the hell out of the fans when an error happens. I mean, there are always a chance for the opposition. Other than that, I think we were so good from the back that either of them getting it is deserving from a fan.
Okay, I think that's it overall from us. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Do subscribe to the Arsenal Bangalore channel for all the pre-match, post-match conversations on YouTube. We will look forward to the Leicester game, and we'll see you guys there. Brilliant performance by Arsenal today. Come on, you Gunners.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
See you.
Come on, Gunners.
Great win. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Hope Bellerin plants more trees.
Kudos to him for doing that. Kudos to him for doing that.